Welcome to AudioLab English. Today's story is The Airport Ticket, an exciting Level 1 story for beginners. Listen carefully to the daily conversations and improve your English vocabulary. Let's start. Sarah was a 25-year-old girl. She worked as a designer in Paris. Today was a very special day because Sarah was at the international airport. She was ready to fly to New York for a big summer vacation. She carried a large blue suitcase and a small brown backpack. The airport terminal was massive and incredibly busy. Thousands of people walked in every direction. Some people looked happy, and some people looked tired. Sarah walked to the big electronic screen to check her flight. Flight number 402 to New York, gate number 12, on time. Sarah read aloud with a smile. She walked towards the check-in desk. The line was a bit long. A friendly airport worker in a blue uniform stood near the line. "Excuse me," Sarah said politely. "Is this the correct desk for the New York flight?" "Yes, it is, miss," the airport worker replied. "Please have your passport and booking confirmation ready in your hand." "Thank you very much," Sarah said. She opened her backpack to look for her passport. She stood behind a young man with a guitar case. The line moved step by step. Sarah looked at her watch. It was 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Her flight was at 4 o'clock. She had plenty of time. She loved the atmosphere of airports. It felt like the beginning of an adventure. Sarah reached the check-in desk. A nice woman behind the counter smiled at her. "Good afternoon. Can I have your passport, please?" the woman asked. "Good afternoon. Here you go," Sarah answered, handing over her passport. "Are you checking any bags today, Sarah?" "Yes, just this blue suitcase," Sarah said, placing her large suitcase on the black conveyor belt. The machine weighed the bag. "Perfect. Here is your passport and your boarding pass. Your gate is gate 12, and boarding starts at 3 o'clock. Have a wonderful flight." "Thank you. Have a nice day," Sarah said happily. She took her passport and backpack and walked toward the security gates. Before the security line, there was a small coffee shop. Sarah decided to buy a bottle of water. She stood in line at the coffee shop. In front of her, an older man in an expensive grey suit was talking on his phone. He looked very worried and spoke quickly in a low voice. "No, the document is secure. It is in my black coat pocket. Don't worry," the man said into his phone. Suddenly, a tall man wearing a black cap walked past very fast. He accidentally bumped into the older man in the suit. The older man dropped his phone and a small white envelope onto the floor. "Oh, I am so sorry," the man in the black cap said quickly. He bent down, picked up the phone, and gave it to the older man. Then he walked away rapidly. The older man sighed, took his phone, and walked toward the business lounge. But Sarah noticed something on the floor. The small white envelope was still lying near the coffee counter. The older man forgot it, and the man in the cap did not see it. Sarah picked it up. Sarah looked at the envelope. It was heavy, and there was no name written on it. She looked around, but the older man in the grey suit was already gone. Excuse me, Sarah said to the cashier at the coffee shop. Did you see where the man in the grey suit went? I think he went to the VIP business lounge near Gate 5, the cashier answered. Sarah looked at her watch. It was 2:45. Boarding for her flight started in 15 minutes at Gate 12. Gate 5 was in the opposite direction. If she helped the man, she might be late for her own dream vacation. But Sarah knew this envelope was important. I have to try, she thought. She ran toward the security gate. She put her backpack and jacket into the plastic bin. The security officer looked at her. Please take off your watch, miss. Sarah quickly took it off. The machine beeped and she passed through successfully. She grabbed her things and started running toward Gate 5. The airport was crowded and running was difficult. Excuse me, sorry, excuse me, Sarah shouted as she moved past families and tourists. Finally, she arrived outside the VIP business lounge. A strict security guard stood at the door. Hello, Sarah said, catching her breath. I need to find a man in a grey suit. He dropped an important envelope at the coffee shop. I am sorry, miss, the guard said coldly. Only VIP passengers can enter this lounge. Please, Sarah begged. It is an emergency. Suddenly, the door opened and the older man in the grey suit came out. He looked completely pale and panicked. He was checking all his pockets frantically. It's gone. My first-class ticket and my passport are gone, he muttered to himself. Sarah stepped forward immediately. Sir, are you looking for this? She asked, holding up the white envelope. The man looked at the envelope, and his face instantly changed. He smiled with pure joy. Oh my goodness! Yes! That is it! My passport and my first-class ticket to New York are inside. He took the envelope and checked it. Everything was safe. He looked at Sarah with tears of relief in his eyes. How can I thank you, young lady? I am a businessman, and I have a crucial meeting in New York tonight. Without this, my career was over. I saw you drop it at the coffee shop after a man bumped into you, Sarah explained, smiling. The businessman looked at his watch. Oh no, it is 3:00. Look at the screens. Boarding for your flight at Gate 12 is starting right now. You are going to miss your flight because of me. Sarah looked at the screen. It was true. Gate 12 was far away. Follow me, the businessman said confidently. He grabbed Sarah's hand and spoke to the lounge guard. Call the airport cart driver immediately. VIP emergency. In less than 1 minute, a small electric airport cart arrived. Sarah and the businessman jumped inside. The driver turned on a small yellow flashing light and drove fast through the terminal, beeping at the crowds. It felt like a movie scene. They arrived at Gate 12 exactly at 3:05. The gate agents were still boarding the passengers. Sarah was safe. The businessman shook Sarah's hand warmly. My name is Richard. You are a true hero, Sarah. Have a beautiful trip to New York. We will meet again, I promise. Sarah smiled, handed her boarding pass to the gate agent, and walked down the tunnel to the airplane. She sat in her window seat, completely exhausted, but incredibly happy. A simple afternoon at the airport turned into a wonderful adventure. She was ready for New York. Thank you for listening to The Airport Ticket. Did you enjoy Sarah's adventure? Please subscribe to AudioLab English, like this video, and share your thoughts in the comments below. See you in the next story!